Hello everybody, this is Phil. I'm doing a quick video on ammo and storage. You know what? During these tough times, I'm hoping with the great reset that is meant to destroy humans and how they interact, especially in a free and prosperous America, I am trying to basically budget the best I can with the ammo I like to survive perhaps a 10-year siege with a great world war, depending on how bad it is, depending if we can keep our economy going, arrest those that are attacking our way of life and our commerce. And so, a big thing for me is to collect ammunition. I have basically started to reinvest in using shotguns, whether they're semi automatic or whatnot, and held off on purchasing 9mm. So this is a big shelving unit I received from my best friend to this day, but she is my ex-fiance, and she, in essence, knew I collected ammo and made sure that I had ammo for my children to come. And I look at it as a generational thing, stockpiling ammunition, not necessarily just being a hoarder. So some of the things that we all discuss in the industry and shooting and being a gun nut and learning our trade, so to speak, in self defense, going against tyrannical governments, hunting, target practice, and plinking, and what have you. This is just basically how I started to collect ammunition. Over the last 2 years with COVID, I basically started collecting more of the shotgun shells along with the 22, whether it's birdshot and all the different sizes that comes with it. I bought a lot up when COVID first started because they were shutting down, if you remember, initially the transport lines or the delivery lines. And so it was harder initially to get ammunition just because of that. And then about the 13 to 20 million new gun owners sucked up a lot of the ammunition, the 9mm, the 40, the 45, the 44 Magnum, and even the 25 ACP was hard to come by. So on the lower level here, I have all kinds of ammunition, and I bought it very inexpensively. It was like less than $5 a box of 25, and I have probably thousands of rounds now, birdshot mostly. Um, I purchased the next shelf up. You can see those gray boxes, basically double odd buck. That's my defensive rounds, where it's more expensive, but I found over the last 2 years it's not that expensive. You can't buy some bulk occasionally, perhaps during a paycheck or not. And they're 5 shot boxes, double odd buck. I forgot what they were, like under $3 for 5 rounds. It's still affordable. It might be considered higher than years before, but I have a significant amount now of double odd buck for self defense. And should I need to use in a deployment situation where there is a call to arms nationwide, I have a semi automatic AR 12 right now that I feel very confident with using. But on the second shelf, I have some steel plates there, and I basically purchased some 223 as the pandemic was still going on. I'd buy about 15 boxes at a time. Sometimes I'd buy like 7 boxes at a time just to suck some up while I could. It's not the best, highest grade. It's steel case ammo with the polymer coating, but I can still use it in most AR-15s. You see the 2 boxes right there. Those are buckshot. I bought extra that I put on top of my 223 rounds. and to the side of it also. That's the cheaper, fatter um, buckshot. I'm sorry, no, that's a cheaper GH ammo 223 beside it. My apologies. If you look on the third shelf, I basically have my 9mm stores. But right in front of it, I have the cheaper, fatter 12 gauge double odd buck, along with the cellar and below 12 gauge double odd buck. And you can see where I'm getting at. I basically invested in a lot of defensive ammo, which could also be used for hunting if out in the bush. And with double odd buck, you're improving your ratio of getting game and actually taking down a deer or a larger animal. Perhaps even a bear you might want to eliminate and basically skin and eat. You never know how bad things will get. I'm not an avid hunter myself, but my best friend, where I go shooting now, goes hunting often, and I buy the deer off of him down in Madison County, Virginia, where deer is rampant. But anywho, I have some more stores spaces of 9mm here, and like I said before, then my cheaper, inexpensive double odd buck. You know, I plan on using for self defense and a GTW scenario. Also, diversifying and understanding how bad uh, it may get if weapons are ever confiscated, and hopefully I still have this ammo. I have one weapon, which is a lever action, that has right there to the left of the screen, 44 Magnum. I have one row of that, basically under 1,000 rounds of that, but I only have one weapon, which is a lever action, and that can also be used to go hunting. It has a lot more kick, believe it or not, than even a shotgun. And then beside it, for smaller pistols that are a dime a dozen, the 32 ACP round, which I invested in right before COVID occurred. And right here, you're looking at about 2,000 rounds of 32 ACP. The ACP 32 ACP pistols are many, maybe not as much as the 22 long rifle pistols, but I found that round was very fun to shoot, even if it was a Davis Industries P32, I think it is, or whatever it's called. And so I invested in about 2,000 rounds that I got when they were very cheap. I don't remember the actual amount of boxes per box, maybe $8 a box. It was a little more than the 9mm at the time. 9mm went down to $6.50 at the cheapest, anyways, around $6.50 to $7 a box. And I remember I could get 32 ACP fairly inexpensive, about $8 to $9 a box. But also during the pandemic, I looked at here are some jugs, old coffee jugs and whatnot that I put extra ammo in when loading up a weapon and carrying concealed. I change the weapon sometimes. I put the extra ammo in these containers, and I can use the same amount of ammo next time for the same weapon, should I choose to carry it. Anywho, I invested in 22 long rifle when supplies and everything went scarce. Again, the 9mm, the 40 Smith & Wesson, the 45 ACP, even the 25 ACP and whatnot, and the 44 Magnum. I would invest in about $100 each paycheck and buy 1,000 rounds of 22. You would have 500 rounds of 22 in a box for $45. So it was affordable. And yes, it's very expensive compared to what it was. But I would invest in that because that was the alternative. I have plenty of 9mm. I probably have close to 7,000 rounds of 9mm. A lot of it loose, a lot of it remade, a lot of it brass and steel. Um, However, I believe 9mm will be the sidearm I carry on the street when I am doing self-defense, what have you, for close combat. And I'm more skilled with the Sig Sauer P320. So I like the 9mm, but I thought also with the amount of 22 rifles around, let alone 22 pistols, 22 is a good investment, even if you go beyond 10,000 rounds, which I clearly have here. Um, this is a big rack, by the way. My ex fiance did it right, and she bought me this steel shelving unit for Christmas one day. And I really love her. She's really a nice lady and best friend in the world. So it was just an alternative to basically start investing in 12 gauge and 22 long rifle, while the pistol calibers were being sucked up by new people and the greedy ammo manufacturers decided to cash in as much as they could. And then diversifying, again, I have plenty of 45 ACP ammo that I figure if the 1911 is there that I ever need to use uh, in a pinch, I have a Glock 21. I also have a Llama 45. What I did was make my Glock 21 pistol caliber carbine with a longer 6.2-inch barrel along with a brace, so I can conceal that, but also reach out beyond 50 yards to hit what I'm aiming at. That was part of my concept, investing in 45 ACP, and a lot of the 45 ACP I bought up until the pandemic, and I believe I have about 2,000 rounds of 45 ACP. Granted, it's not my favorite round, but it was very fun. Excuse my finger there. It was very fun to shoot it and make an actual 6.2-inch Glock, a carbine, so that I can deploy it easily and have basically unlimited Glock 21 magazines, up to 26 rounds that I can keep on using. And I've tested it out. Some of the steel ammo is not the best with a longer barrel, I've noticed, because of the pressure, I believe. But the cheaper brass ammo I have works fantastic with that carbine. And all the ammo works fantastic with the Llama 45 I had. In essence, because I'm a gun nut and I collect guns, I am revamping my arsenal to what I had as a police officer. So I bought a Llama, one of those all black 1911 45s, because I had one in the 1990s and blew out my eardrum. Actually, I had some cigarette butts in my ears when I was shooting at the police officer range that they allowed us to use other weapons at. Um, and it didn't work too well with my left ear. But I love that 1911 llama. That's the only 1911 I love and I really trust. Or actually, not that there isn't other better 1911 45 ACPs. I'm not saying that, but to invest so much money in a very expensive 1911, I don't think so. I'm not going to waste my time and energy with that. And I like other unique, inexpensive guns with my systems and seeing what works. So I have some 12 gauge shorties there that I invested in. I have more federal and another. There you go. I have more federal, basically bird shot. I invested in some 22 Magnum before it started getting more expensive, like a regular handgun round. And I slowly started building up the 380 for some smaller pistols I have. And then I just have some extra space for some more, um, not really unique, but birdshot type ammo. And what is this one right here? I forgot what this one is. This is buckshot too. And I remember those were pretty inexpensive. And I just snagged them up when I could online with another set of ammo. I forget. But when we talk about the guns we use, and I'm a gun nut. I openly admit it. I don't know everything about every gun. I'm not the best shooter in the world. I know what each gun I have can do. is my point. And to have self defense, you don't necessarily need the most expensive Sig Sauer 9mm or the Sig Sauer 365 or what have you. And you don't necessarily need an H&K MP5 or what have you, a Colt MP5 to feel secure if you were in a go to war situation. What would you do to defend yourself right there and then? Get out of Dodge, defend your homestead, make sure no one attacks your homestead and your family, and then perhaps your community again. And what would you do to defend yourself while you're with other like minded citizens to defend your community against an actual formidable force? Like our own military that is being trained to basically investigate us in a civil matter or be deployed against us while we are constitutionally protected to protest and peaceably assemble. How about the Chinese invading through Canada or the cartels helping China invade through our lower underbelly? What would you have? What would you use to defend yourself? And would you go to the federal government if they are untrustworthy to defend your community and ask them for munitions? They would not give it to you, is the answer. And they would not help you out unless you were secure in your house, not a threat to them, and they could tell you what to do. So you gave up all your freedom for them and their protection. So as it looks now, guys, this might not last for the longest war, and it's not supposed to. What it's supposed to do is last through generations, my children and their children, at least 10, 15 years, and something to always be there to go hunting, to practice tactical shooting and self defense exercises, and perhaps ward off a very tyrannical federal government that were led astray, basically went astray, and decided I'm their enemy, I'm the terrorist. No, I'm not waging war against the federal government, but I am legal and I will be heavily armed for the remainder of my life, God willing. There are other ways to defend yourself. Look into other rounds. Look into other rounds perhaps first. If ammo is hard to come by, see what's the most available, quickest. Then perhaps purchase a weapon of your choice under the same caliber and work at that being your go to war weapon, your battle weapon, and learn what it can do, learn its capabilities. Now, there's some other ammo out there. I've seen some videos on YouTube recently, uh, and some videos were about making your own 50 caliber. Okay. Well, I don't have the most expensive 50 caliber in the world, so I'm not investing in basically $5 a round to defend an apartment, if that makes sense. I am not going to buy one of those $8,000 Lapua, what are they, 330s or 338 Lapuas? I forget the nomenclature. Please excuse me. I'm not into all the best rifles. You can reach out and touch someone. But do I like a 223 and still practice at 500 yards? Yes. Do I still practice with a shotgun and basic marksmanship skills? Yes. I would trust anybody with iron sights within 300 yards before I would attack the nut or attack the fool, whatever you want to call them, with all that garb on their AR 15 and one of those scopes, like they're going to start sniping people like a professional sniper, and they've never been in the military, never been on any police department, and think that they're going to war and they're just going to be picking off Chinese invaders coming from the north. It's a possibility they might be called to do something like that. But chances are there's going to be a lot of weapons pointed back at that person. And I don't believe in a scope necessarily beyond a certain or before a certain limit. 500 yards, 800 yards, perhaps, if that's what the battle is going to say you need. So I'm not into the 50 caliber. I'm not into the Lapua. I would love to own one of those rifles where I can say I can try a mile long shot. I don't know if I hit what I'm aiming for at a mile, but I would try it, and I would try to scope it, and I would try to do it the correct way. But basic marksmanship skills, I would go with someone that knows what an iron sight can do and how to basically line up their prey, whether it's food or the enemy, and know how to use a rifle. So I'm not going to invest. The long and short of it is, I'm not going to invest in a Creedmoor 6.5, which is also a nice formidable round. I'm going to invest in the basic 223, like you see here. And when I get a 308, I will invest in a 308 should I feel it necessary. But anyways, guys, leave a message down in the comments. I'm basically giving some ideas about not going the status quo, not going by the typical um, most used handgun rounds you need to feel secure. You know, could you basically make a perhaps a sawed-off shotgun? Get an NFA stamp for it. Okay, can you carry that around with a CCW once you got the tax stamp for it, and use just 12 gauge shotgun? And you use 410 shotgun shells, you know, in something like a governor or what's the other one? A judge, you know, revolver. Um, there's many different styles and systems you can try with the cheapest of ammo. I've invested in a lot of 22s because, in particular, my sons and their brothers, I bought a lot of 22 rifles for them to start planking at in the next couple of years while the prices were very inexpensive. One of them is a Ruger 1022, and some of them are the older Stevens that are tube fed but are semi automatic. They can use a 22 and still defend themselves if they had to while young and not be afraid of the recoil or the rapport from said rifles. So it's something to think about. That's what I think about. Do I want them shot by something heavier? No. But if they can use that and that's all they have to defend their house or their sisters and their brothers, then I'm hoping they are trained well enough with plenty of 22 ammo over the years that they can make easy headshots. They can make easy incapacitating shots. And that's how I look at it. There has to be an inexpensive way to still defend yourself. And I love this. The Feder double odd buck and the Cellular and below, I believe it's pronounced Cellular and below. Lots of 12 gauge ammo out there to get. I forgot the prices actually, but it was not that expensive. And I just buy well, like I said, those two boxes there. I bought, I think in the last 6 months, maybe 6 boxes of those, just like that. And you get a lot of inexpensive ammunition to protect yourself. So let me know what you think, guys. And I'm very proud of my eye candy. Thank you and have a good day.